Welcome to Women of Wisdom, everyone. Today I am lucky enough to have my, I guess you would call her my angel in the wings, who helps me. She's laughing at me because she knows the truth. Who helps me with um, Women of Wisdom slash my company, and she happens to be my very best friend, and she happens to be in my life 24/7. And we met doing um, back in 1995 when we did the first disabled acting camp ever. And now she's a director. I am no longer in that acting camp. Yes, I can act. For those of you who don't know that, I do have a little bit of acting history. And so basically what we're going to talk about today is not only acting, not only having disabled achieve their dreams, but the reason why I brought my BFF on Women of Wisdom is because she has now self-published her own book. And I want everyone to understand what she has done with not, and I don't know if you can see that beautiful cover, but that on that beautiful cover is a picture of her snowboarding, and she is the first adaptive snowboarder, and she actually holds the patent for the first adaptive snowboard. And we're going to get into all that good fun. But there's a critical piece of information I need to tell you guys before I start in with her. Because this young woman, who's amazing by the way, has a hard time speaking, she will use adaptive technology. But she and I have decided to let the iPad run its course, and then we can add in what she wants to say to me after the iPad is done. So if you guys hear, those of you who are going to be watching this pre-recorded interview, if you guys hear what sounds like a computer voice, that's her iPad going off. And those of you who are not exposed to adaptive technology on a daily basis, this is going to be your first time hearing adaptive technology. Danielle and I are used to it, so we'll just block it out. But for those of you who are not, you may just have to listen just a tad bit more carefully to this interview than the average interview I do because we're dealing with adaptive technology. So take it away, Danielle. I would rather have you just hit the iPad and let the iPad do its um, work. And granted, and granted, she's a smart aleck, just like me. So you might you might hear some smart aleck answers that I don't even think about. So I'm gonna let the iPad do its magic, and then we'll add in where the iPad left off.
I think that we founded Magic of Music and Dance Camp because we were two of the campers in the first camp in 1998. Everyone has seen us growing up and saw that we love to help people. Kathy Crum was the first head director. She chose you, me and Rochelle to help the other kids act. I am really happy that I'm a part of the team, but it is hard work putting on a show in 5 days. Every year I get more on my plate than I can handle. Sometimes I feel that I can't do it, but I pull it together because I want to help the kids and show people what we can do together. If people come see the plays and don't know how many days we put them together, they would never know it was 5 days.
We man we managed to do it in 5 days, which I think is unbelievable. And what she's talking about, if you don't know what she's talking about, we land up doing the first play camp, which is we either do an adaptation of a play or do our own play under our own direction. And it's really fascinating to see this play um, get put together. And we have people come from internationally to perform with us. The farthest, the farthest internationally we had was Australia, and we have a huge age gap between all different disabilities, whether it's cognitive, whether it's disabled, whether it's social emotional. We have a huge age gap. The youngest participant is 5 years old, and the oldest participant, correct me if I'm wrong, is 35. So that's a huge.
No, she is so sick.
Oh, jeez. 50. Okay,
Yeah.
I keep getting that wrong. I keep getting that wrong. And she would probably kill me because she has a smart aleck personality. If you ever see this woman
Yeah.
act, she knows what she's talking about. And so, basically, you guys, we have a huge age gap as to what we deal with, and it's really fascinating the teamwork we managed to put together, even though it's a little chaotic for the
Yeah.
directors, and it's a little chaotic for Miss Danielle, and it's a little chaotic for Miss Wynn too, but that's okay. And then I wanted to mention where she's sitting to do this interview, as she's sitting in her favorite spot on planet Earth. It may look like our office, and it is, but this is a nonprofit that helped us get started in our lives.
Yeah.
And this is a nonprofit that loves both of us dearly and loves everything we do and wants to support us inside and out. And so she is now sitting in the Challenge Aspen conference room, and I will also put the Challenge Aspen website underneath this interview, along with her websites, because Challenge Aspen is a really unique opportunity for individuals with disabilities, and they also started a camo camp. And what we have coming up in July is a Vince Gill and Amy Grant Golf Classic. One of our huge, I say we, because we, along with Houston Cowan, who disappeared, who was here previously, but he disappeared off
Yeah.
to another meeting. And so we, along with Houston Cowan, Amanda Roxdale, Cassie Clem, and all these other people founded Challenge Aspen. And there's one more person I would like to throw a shout out to, and that is Max Grange. And he was also one of the founding participants of Challenge Aspen. So between all five of us, or 10 of us now, um, we made a terrific program. But enough about Challenge Aspen. I want to hear about your fascinating book, and I want the iPad to take it away again and talk about what your favorite sport is. And yes, I do her favorite sport with her half the time. So I want the iPad to speak on your favorite sport.
My favorite sport to do is snowboarding. When I was 8 years old, I got a PS2 for Christmas from my dad. One of my favorite games was a snowboarding game called SSX Tricky. The next year, my cousin Zach was snowboarding for the first time. As I was skiing, I was watching him, and then I thought that I wanted to tell Rich Ganson, my instructor, about the video game. By the end of the day, I got a snowboard, and Rich and Bobby Paul built the first adaptive snowboard in the world.
And that is the rest is history. The rest is history. Downstairs, below where she's sitting right now, is a huge, huge, huge snowboard. And people that follow my company have people that follow me personally on Facebook have seen pictures of her and I on both of our adaptive rigs, and I am lucky enough to and and of course the famous picture that's now gone all over planet Earth. Yes, the other famous picture that I wasn't mind choosing to put on there. Um, and so that on the cover is both of us on our snowboards. And the other picture on the cover is how the snowboard instructor handles the board. And you still have to control. I don't know if you can see that. Oh yes, you can. Oh yes, you can. And you still have to control it like a normal snowboard. So that's so for those of you who've never who've snowboarded independently know how difficult it is to snowboard without the rider bar, without the adaptive piece of equipment.
Time people ask me or you no just right.
And they ask, they
no on
that's are you along for the ride? Yeah, they ask me all the time, is that a trick board? And it's like, no, no, it's adaptive snowboard. And for those of you who can't understand what the smart Alex just said, is because when she's laughing, she gets a little chaotic. And so, although she's doing a very good job, so she just said, if you don't mind me translating what you just said, sometimes people ask her, are you along for the ride? And they asked me that too, 9 times out of 10, because they had never seen a trick born. So what we're trying to do is teach others about how the disabled snowboard. But I want you to explain who Zoe, and the reason why I'm putting that name in quotes is you'll find out who Zoe is in the next couple of weeks when you read um, my book and the view from my hills. And I want the iPad to explain who Zoe is.
Zoe is myself in the book. Before the view from my hills was in the works, I was in an acting class and had to write a 10-line play that was based on a true story in my life. I had a hard time choosing what to write about. Then I realized, why not write about how I became the first adaptive snowboarder? So, as I was brainstorming, I thought that I could name myself after my favorite character in SSX Tricky, Zoe.
Now,
Now,
do you still
do you
have
have
that game?
that game? Yeah. Do. Bra. Ha. Re. No. Re. Ma. Does. Ha.
It's
Yeah. See.
but at least you still have that game. That's
Yeah.
now everything is based off that game,
Yeah.
including including your company. And yes, she not only helps me with my company, she's founded her own company and written her own life story based off that company, based off being the first adaptive snowboarder in the country slash in the world. And so basically, what I wanted people to understand is why did you write this book? I know, as your BFF, why you wrote this book, but a lot of people look at you and I and say, well,
No.
a lot of people look at you and I and just are shocked and amazed that we now have two books out. I'm working on my YA novel series, as the iPad just said. And so, you wanted to write this book, so your philosophy is dream it, live it. That is
Yeah.
her tagline on her book, and that is her tagline on her website, and that is a tagline in every single bit of her life. And I had another women of wisdom on um, Women of Wisdom the other day, and that tagline is the Dream It, Live It, Map It is her tagline also. And she's a motivational speaker out of Kansas City. And Shayna, Alina. And what I believe that tagline says is as long as you have a piece of paper and write down a dream, you can get it accomplished. Of course, you and I need help to get
Yeah.
get all dreams accomplished.
Ja. Ja. Happy.
Yes, yes, we do. We do. We have a support crew behind the
Yeah.
scenes that doesn't like to come out and play very often. Doesn't like to come out and play very often, but when they do, they seem to like to have a little bit of the aspects of helping us with their helping us with their dreams. And one of the taglines I also use in my life, and one of the taglines that Danielle also uses in her life, is anything is possible. So
Yeah.
as long and that was the tagline for the my last little adventure in the Kona Ironman. Anything is possible. So what that means to me is as long as you have a piece of paper in front of you, you write a dream down, you set it on a vision board, and you 9 times out of 10 uh, achieve that dream. Now I have to tell you guys a funny story. 2 weeks after my original book came out, someone who's now sitting on the other end said, I want to write a book. I want to write a book on my life. And this was via text message. I basically looked at the text message, almost threw the phone to the ground, and basically FaceTime until she's laughing at me because she knows it's the truth, and basically FaceTime at her and said, you have got to be kidding me. Do you know she has now typed a
Yeah.
10, a 10 chapter 90-page book, typed it with cerebral palsy. And when I say that, cerebral palsy is a bone and joint condition. And when her tone kicks in, it's not a pretty picture. And so
No.
I use speech dictation. But due to her speech impediment, she can't. So that's why I said, you're nuts. When she goes, I want to write a book on your own. Because I have watched this amazing young woman grow up. And I've watched her struggle through speech and struggle with the words she wants to say and needs interpretation, although she's doing a pretty good job today. Excellent job, I should not say pretty good job, a fabulous job. And so, and
Yeah.
so, thank you. And so what she said is thank you because she knows she knows what I'm getting at. And so it's interesting for me to watch this process go on as her BFF, and I just hope everyone is picks up this book, watches this interview, and sees what amazing, remarkable young woman she is. And I just love you to pieces. You know that. And where can people find your book? Uh,
They can find my book on Amazon and dancanstradeBook.com. Also, it will be in the iBookstore sometime today.
So, for those of you, um, for those of you who have iBooks, it can be downloaded on iBooks. For those of you who like the paperback version, it can be found on Amazon. Just type in Dan.
Yeah. The book name is just says you have
The
to.
book is entitled If Dan Can Shred, You Can Too. And it's a fascinating book. I haven't read it. I haven't read it in full format yet, but I need to. And I need to actually read it in full format. But I did read bits and pieces of the manuscripts So I have a pretty good idea with what's in the book, and it's just a fascinating book. And I want everyone to achieve their dreams and set out on those visions and set out on any dream which is possible, which you may not think you can write a book. Well, according to the two of us, you can. It just may take a little bit longer, but it may take a year, but you can write a book. Anything is possible.
Yeah.